Hey, welcome back. It's Jason Walter here. I wanted to make this video for you guys today to kind of shed some light regarding what's going on with our housing market right now. I want to give you guys an update regarding home prices, housing inventory, new listings, pending home sales, and much, much more. And this is according to a new report from Redfin that was just posted a couple of days ago. And this is basically part 2 of my previous video that I posted. So here are the key housing market takeaways for basically 400 plus cities across the United States. And this is for the 4-week period ending June 26. And by the way, a lot of research went into making this video. So if you wouldn't mind, please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Also consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive right into the video here. So the median sold price, again, I always mention this, but I have to mention it again, it's a lagging indicator anytime we're talking about stats that have to do with houses that sold. This is because it typically takes about 30 days for a house to sell for when the home seller accepts an offer. So you basically close escrow or the house is actually sold 30 days after the seller accepts an offer. So when we're talking about any stats that have to do with houses that actually sold, that's what our market was like, 1 to 2 months ago when the home seller and buyer were negotiating a contract here. Anyways, the median sold price across the United States, at least for these 400 plus cities, was actually up 14% year over year to a record $399,000. So again, a lagging indicator. Here's a leading indicator though. The median asking price of a newly listed house increased 15% year over year to basically $405,000. However, though, it's down 1.5% from the all-time record high that was set for the 4 weeks ending May 22nd. So we're seeing record high home prices for houses that actually have sold during this time period though, but we're seeing some softening in home prices because the median asking price home actually decreased from 1.5% from the previous month. So we're seeing this dichotomy right now. We're seeing record high home prices for houses that actually have sold. However, we're seeing a 1.5% decrease from the median asking price home across the United States. This is a prime example regarding lagging indicators versus leading indicators. Anything lagging has to do with sold prices. Anything leading has to do with basically houses that are listed for sale right now. And meanwhile, because home prices are still at very high levels, and of course we have very high mortgage rates right now, the monthly mortgage payment on the median asking price home increased to $2,459 per month at the current, keyword current, 5.7% mortgage rate. But it's down slightly from the peak of just under $2,500 per month. So now we're up a whopping 45% compared to 1 year ago, when 1 year ago, the average monthly mortgage payment was just under $1,700 per month. So let me share some graphics with you guys regarding home prices here and also the monthly mortgage payment here as well. So here's the median sold price, again, a lagging indicator, reaching just under $400,000. That's on par with the National Association of Realtors is reporting, as well as the Realtor.com, more or less. Anyways, up 13.6%. It's still far higher compared to 1 year ago. 1 year ago, the median sold price was approximately $350,000. So a gain of $50,000 for basically the average price home in America over the past 1 year. But here's the more important metric that we should be following though. Here's the median asking price, up 14.7% from 1 year ago. But as you can see here, ever since really middle of May, we're starting to see some softening in home prices across the US. One thing I want to mention regarding this is that around June and July of each year, we tend to see a kind of like a slowdown in our housing market because of kids being out of school. A lot of people go on vacation and put their plans on hold to buy or sell a house. So this would be entirely normal for home prices to decrease in the summer months. But in my personal opinion, we're going to see that, a seasonality in our housing market, but we're also going to see a big pullback in demand from home buyers as we have rates around 6% right now. And that's going to cause a big pullback in home sales for the remainder of the year here. Time will tell though, I'll definitely keep you posted. And here's a graphic showing the average monthly mortgage payment increasing 45.2% from 1 year ago. Again, one of the main reasons why I feel home buying demand is decreasing because of these rising mortgage payments absolutely skyrocketing, which is really sad. So the current levels right now are just under $2,500. Again, this is based on the median asking price home and also current mortgage rates. Basically been skyrocketing ever since January of this year, far surpassing the past couple of years. I mean, 1 year ago, we were just under $1,700. Now we're basically at $2,500. And here's another graphic to show you guys regarding this trajectory basically would-be home buyers' mortgage payments right now. So right now, look at this, $2,459. I mean, look at this trajectory this year. I mean, this is what you call not sustainable. You can't have a giant increase in home buying demand if we have a giant increase in mortgage payments because of skyrocketing mortgage rates and, of course, rising home prices as well. I mean, at this time right here in 2022, we started the year at basically 3.3%. Now we're at approximately 6%. So rates have basically doubled this year, which is absolutely insane. In regards to pending home sales, this again is when a home seller accepts an offer from a home buyer. That's a pending home sale. Pending home sales decreased 13% year over year. This is the largest decline since May 2020, which is pretty mind-blowing because in May 2020, I would say probably March and April 2020, we had stay-at-home orders. So we had basically a pause in our housing market basically in the last half of the spring in 2020. So to say we have the biggest drop since May of 2020 is pretty eye-opening. And here's a graphic depiction showing pending home sales over the past few years here, or ever since 2020, I should say. So right now down 13%, but look at this. We basically were on par starting in April, but what happened in April? In April, mortgage rates hit approximately 5%, and that caused a giant decrease in pending home sales, whereas in 2021, we continued to increase basically until May or June of last year. So right now we're down quite a bit compared to 2021 and also approaching levels in 2020 right now. Okay, let's talk about new listings as well as active housing inventory. So new listings of houses for sale are down 7% from 1 year ago. So we're not seeing this giant increase of new listings compared to 1 year ago. And also active listings, which of course is the number of houses listed for sale, actually fell 8% year over year, the smallest decline since March of 2020. One thing I want to mention regarding this is that Realtor.com is reporting something entirely different for active listings as well as new listings. So Redfin uses a sample size using a 400 plus US metros. They also use what's called a 4-week rolling average. So these stats here are based on the averages over the past 4 weeks in the 4-week period ending June 26, I should say. So the number of active listings for this time period is up 8% year over year. Again, a 4-week rolling average. However, though, Realtor.com uses a different methodology. They actually look at the current week and compare that same week 1 year ago. So they basically look at changes year over year by week and not by a 4-week rolling average. So right now, active listings, according to the latest update from Realtor.com, the number of active listings is actually up 25% for the week ending June 25th compared to the same week in 2021. Which is obviously a lot different than what Redfin is reporting, right? Falling 8% year over year. So I want to bring that to your attention because each of these websites, whether it's Zillow, Redfin, or Realtor.com, or National Association of Realtors, California Association of Realtors, etc., uses different sample sizes, but they also use different methodologies in order to track housing market trends. And going back to Redfin's report here, new listings are actually down 7% compared to 1 year ago. As you can see here, ever since May, the number of new listings has basically been decreasing, except more recently here, compared to 2021 in blue here. So down 7% compared to 1 year ago, only slightly up compared to 2020. So more or less ever since May, we've had this downward trajectory of new listings compared to 1 year ago, which is interesting because pending home sales have been falling even greater than the number of new listings hitting the market. Also, active listings, which is another word for the total number of houses listed for sale, has been increasing. So right now we're only down 7.8% compared to 1 year ago. So my biggest takeaway regarding this is that we're seeing this increase ever since basically February of this year of active listings, which is interesting to see that because pending home sales have been decreasing. So even though we're seeing this increase of housing supply, we're not seeing an increase of pending home sales. It's actually moving in the opposite direction, down 13.1% year over year. And like I mentioned in my previous video, this increase of active listings is really from a pullback in home buying demand, in my personal opinion, because we're not seeing this big increase of new listings. We're actually down 7% compared to 1 year ago. So if we saw new listings basically skyrocketing like this and active listings also increasing at the same levels, that would imply that a lot of houses are being listed for sale and home buyers are not picking them up. But what we're seeing right now is the increase is really due to a lack of home buying demand because we're not seeing this giant increase of new listings. Houses are still selling fairly quickly though. According to Redfin here, about 46% of pending home sales went under contract within 2 weeks of hitting the market. That's actually down compared to 2021 though. In 2021 at this time, this number here was about 49%. Also, about 32% of pending home sales went under contract within 1 week. In other words, houses selling very quickly, 3 times out of 10. Right now, approximately 32%, but compare that to 2021, we're actually down slightly. And this percentage here has been less than last year's levels really ever since the middle of April. Now here's an interesting graphic here because this is a lagging indicator. This metric here, which is days on the market, the time period when a home seller lists their house for sale to when they ultimately accept an offer and the house actually closes escrow. So this is a key factor here. Days on the market is only measured by houses that actually have sold, not pending home sales. So this is a lagging indicator, but interesting to see it's starting to increase, right? So this is based on houses that actually have sold. Again, a reflection of the housing market approximately 1 or 2 months ago, but this has been increasing and the current level right now at 17 days is almost higher compared to last year's levels. This is honestly one of the first lagging indicators I've seen that's telling us that we could be seeing some slowdown in home buying activity. One thing I want to mention though is that days on the market does tend to increase basically in the middle of summer. So as you can see here in 2021, we saw that basically in July and August especially. So it's interesting to see that the days in the market has basically been increasing ever since June of this year. And here's another lagging indicator here that's telling us that this housing market is shifting a little bit. So here is the 4-week rolling average of the share of houses that sold, keyword sold, above the list price. So 54% of houses sold above their list price, which is basically right on par with 2021's levels. But look at the trajectory. Ever since May of this year, this trend line has been decreasing. And I would suspect that next week's data here is going to be below 2021's levels. So the significance regarding this is that if we have less houses selling above the list price, that's not going to cause a big increase in home prices, right? The reason why we saw record high home prices in 2021 and also in the first part of this year is because a large share of houses were selling for over their asking price, and that was pushing up overall home prices across the United States. Now here's a very important metric we should be tracking here because this is an early sign that home buying demand is decreasing. I don't know if I should say early anymore because this is a metric that has been basically increasing ever since May of this year. So maybe it's no longer an early sign. So anyways, this is a metric though we should be tracking though because approximately 6.5% of houses that get listed for sale are having price reductions by week. So if you multiply that by 4, on average, home sellers are reducing their asking prices by approximately 26% of the time. So basically, 1 out of every 4 houses are reducing their asking prices in the US right now. I mean, far higher than the past couple of years. In 2021, we were basically at less than 3%. Now we're over 6%. And obviously, this is an all-time record high, according to Redfin here. As you can see right here, we've now had more price drops right now than any other time since they started tracking this data back in 2015. The previous all-time high was basically in October of 2019 when the share of price reductions by week was 5.3%. Now we're far higher than that at 6.5. And look at this trajectory here. In 2022, basically going from 2%, now we're at 6%. So by my dumb math here, we have approximately 3 times more price reductions now compared to January of this year. And yet here's another lagging indicator that's telling us that we're having a housing market shift here. Because here's the average house that's sold above their list price. So the average, sale price to list price ratio is 102.2%. Again, this means that on average, home sellers for this time period sold their houses for 2.2% more than their asking price. So obviously we're still at very elevated levels. I mean, the peak in 2021 was approximately 102% or just over 102%. But look at this trajectory here, basically going straight down. I would suspect in the next week's housing market update from Redfin, we're going to be below 2021's levels. And also, as I mentioned in my previous video that I made for you guys here, Redfin's Home Buying Demand Index, again, this is a index based on requests for home tours and other home buying services, fell 15% year over year. They started to see a small increase last week though, but looking back in April this year, which by the way, this index was actually higher in April in 2022 compared to last year, basically ever since April this year, this trend line has been falling greatly. In other words, Redfin is receiving less requests for home tours by their agents. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Also, if you got any value out of today's video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Hope you guys have an awesome day and look forward to seeing you on the next video.